Andy B here at the Evangelical Alliance's offices in London. Yes, we've been here since 10 o'clock. We've chatted to Rachel Heffer and Joe and Catherine and Alicia, who works in Parliament and advocacy here with EA. And I have my final guest, I think, today in John. Hello, John.
Good morning.
Afternoon.
It's afternoon.
It's the afternoon. No, it's fine. I don't like to correct people,
right.
but, it's actually the afternoon. I was worried then, thinking, have I lost something? So just give us a little overview. You've jumped in here, or have you been coerced in a loving manner to come and talk to me?
I was asked about 2 minutes ago to come and join you. So I work with the CRM and membership as the CRM membership lead. So the CRM is our database of all our lovely members. And then the membership team, part of the membership team, who kind of help, kind of facilitate, the memberships of all our members.
Evangelical Alliance, I think Alicia said it's 179 years old, or it's been going for quite a while. Why is membership important with the EA? Because I sort of know of the importance of it, but why does becoming a member of the EA, I mean, we're members as a radio station, but you can become a member as a church or as a person. Why does membership matter?
So I've been thinking about that quite a bit recently, actually, and I think it's really important. Our personal members really help our advocacy work. So when we say there's 27,000 people that are signed up, paid up members of the Evangelical Alliance, when colleagues like Alicia go and talk to members of Parliament, then that gives a real weight to what they're saying. That actually, we're not just, one man on a street corner. We are representing a body of people. And actually then I think the other bit, which is really important, is the church membership. I think that's how we reach, the nation with the good news of Jesus, our church membership. So we've got around 2,800 church members, but we want to get as many churches joined up and working together in unity to try and, together make Jesus known.
I kind of liken it a little bit to the feeding of 5,000, which was the 5,000 men, but they wouldn't have just been men, they'd been men, and there were probably women, I would imagine. I think conservatively, once I worked out, maybe 20,000 people. So the feeding of the 5,000 is just a portion of the people that were there, because it's only one people group that was actually listed. So as you say, when you're going as an EA saying we've got 27,000 members, it doesn't take much to think, well, it's more than 27,000, isn't it, who are actually represented.
Yeah, I mean, generally it's the kind of adult members, of the family unit. So we don't really count the children, but yeah, but we do count couples as two. So we love couples that join because they add two to the number, so we have count those in the personal members. And like you're saying as well, your membership is really important as well. All the different organisations bringing something different to the kingdom of God in the UK. So we have that kind of the three different levels, but the organisations, they just bring such a lot of variety and stuff alongside the church. That's just a great compliment. So across all three different parts of our membership, it's just amazing to see what they're all doing.
When we were looking at applying to become members as a radio station, I did look through all the members on there, all the businesses or organisations or ministries, anybody who's not an individual or a church. And it was fascinating to see. There were some that you'd expect. There were people working Christians Against Poverty. There was some sort of obvious, Christian organisation. But then there's other businesses. But you think, well, that's interesting. And it was. I mean, if you want to go and spend some time, go and look through all the businesses, ministries, organisations on the EA website who are members, because it's fascinating to see just the breadth of people who are saying, we want to be part of something. And actually the EA is a really good thing to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from coffee companies to banks to solicitors, all sorts of people are members of the Evangelical Alliance. Yeah, it's an amazing variety.
Let's just look a little bit at your faith, which I always like to try and get in somehow. Obviously, Evangelical Alliance, we've been looking at what evangelical means. We're looking at the alliance part, the two bits together, advocacy. We've looked at some of the research that's been done. But it's clearly, unashamedly, a Christian organisation. It's a Christian community collective. I mean, there's all sorts of ways you can describe it. But what was your journey into faith to the point that you're thinking, Jesus isn't just a nice idea. Actually, Jesus is my God?
Well, I mean, yeah, that goes all the way back, because I started out obviously as a little baby, and I grew up, thankfully, in a really
most of us do.
Really, well, yeah, indeed. Pretty obvious statement, but I grew up in a really good Christian household. So my mum and dad. Apparently, my first phrase was "Daddy gone caca." So he got in the car to go and do leadership training. So he was a lay reader in our church, and he was going off, and that was my first phrase was that. So my parents were really faithful Christians, and so I came through that, and kind of made my own personal commitment to Jesus in my teens. Some people talk about, kind of the Eurostar from London to Paris, and you're kind of on the train, and when you start, you're in one place in London, for example, and then when you get there, you're in Paris, but where you quite technically cross the border. And I felt like that a bit up with my faith journey, that, in that teen years, it's kind of, I was doing a lot of stuff with church, but there was I guess, a moment where I kind of prayed in my room and asked Jesus into my life. But then it was just following that path on from there, really. And off to university at Southampton, I really saw God's hand like guiding me there. And, even like the first night I met a few people, and then the next night when they did a small group in the hall of residence, like it was the same people I'd met the night before were coming to this Christian Union group the next night. So yeah, and then I went on to do some cool stuff at Southampton with the Christian Union, getting involved in that. And just on, like always God kind of leading me on. And then, years and years later, to the Evangelical Alliance.
What led you here? I mean, we were just talking off air about you've been to the Tenpin Bowling Alley in Wolverhampton, which is not really a very exciting place. I'll be honest, having grew up in Wolverhampton, there's two, and neither is very exciting. So apart from that interesting mid-light, is it a highlight, low? Let's call it a mid-light. How did you find yourself working here at the EA?
Well, I started off, like I said, I studied computer science at Southampton University, and then got a job with an American software company for years. Went and worked with a friend for a couple of years, and I was trying to discern whether I'd become a priest in the Church of England, which didn't actually happen. I got to that kind of last stage of that whole process and wasn't recommended to train as a priest. And then God kind of switched the tracks. My son loves trains, and so it's kind of like one of those comedy things where you're going down one train track and then all of a sudden someone pulls the points right at the last minute and you zoom on to the next one. So I did go off and study a little bit of theology as an independent student, and then became the part-time coordinator of Merton Street Pastors. And then I was there for like 10, 11 years, doing street pastoring things in Merton, trying to bring the church together in unity to be good news in Merton on the streets late at night in the town centres. And so I'd done that for a lot of years, done some other things, working for the Ascension Trust, a little bit part-time alongside it, a food bank and a night shelter. And then all of a sudden, I was going to go and talk to Joe Frost's husband about how he was going to run the marathon to raise funds for Merton Street Pastors. And apparently she said the night before I was going to go for lunch to discuss how we could get the maximum amount of funds out of his run. And she said that I need to talk to John about a job. And Andy said to her, well, you can tell him tomorrow he's coming for lunch. So anyway, she then was outlined this job. The Evangelical Alliance needed someone to come in and help them run their CRM, a new CRM, and get the staff to use it, modern, get every member of staff trying to use it. And just really out of that conversation, had a few conversations with the other staff here, and felt that, I could use my kind of skills, technical understanding, and my kind of passion to work with people and enjoy working with people, to kind of blend those two things together and try and help the Evangelical Alliance bring their new system online and go ahead.
Databases are important. We've got a few now, and I don't know if I ever thought they were silly. I just didn't really understand them, but now we have a few, and it's like, these actually matter because it's the way that you can actually engage with people. It's a way of actually communicating with people who want to support what you're doing. A database is, I wouldn't necessarily know that I could say they were fun, but I think a database is really important. So, I mean, do you see it as a fun thing, or do you see it as just a really useful tool?
I mean, it's really interesting. I find, looking back at some of the, some of the history, so you can see people who have been members for 75 years. Wow. In the data and the kind of notes on the system that said, we happened to find out this guy's been a member for 75 years. Some of those things are really interesting, looking at the trajectory, like the number of members. It's been really fascinating in the last few years to see such, kind of a good solid membership growth, particularly in our personal membership, going from, kind of probably around 18,000 when I joined to 27,000 now. So, and, last year there was a bit of a splash when I think we recruited 5,000 members within 12 months. Wow. And I think we've done that 2 years in a row now. So actually, it's great to see some of those, those changes, some of the history. There's lots of fascinating, things in the data. Also, quite a lot of people that I appear to have come across in different parts of life. I recognise that name. But it's also been a really interesting journey since I got here as well, because we did have a cyber attack in 2022. So,
oh wow!
Just after I joined, and then trying to recover after all that was quite a big challenge.
That's one of those things that's never ever going to be fun, pleasant, or wanted.
No, but it did, like, again, just because of the way we had to get involved with our data and kind of piece it back together a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, is just meant, again, I got to see a really different perspective of the data as well. And basically it tells a story of a lot of really faithful people who've, been members for years and years and years. The number of people, we've recently done a bit of an exercise to try and, get some more email addresses off people, just to help us with the kind of continuity of membership, because obviously people move house, sometimes we lose touch with them, and so we wrote to a few people and said, hey, we don't have an email address on your records, would you mind giving us one, please, if possible? And you're thinking, actually, probably these people joined before email addresses were really common, whereas now you can barely do anything without an email address. These people signed up and have been members so long, that we maybe just had their title, their initial and their surname and their postal address. And that was when they signed up, back in the 80s and 90s, before email really went kind of like into every home in quite the way it is now.
How have you found the team here at EA? I've been here for, I don't know, a few hours. I walked in, I was greeted by a smile. Here's a coffee machine with caffeine. That was me. I was very happy. And I'm just wandering in the office, and I love to meet people in their place of work, because I can be told, and we had this at CAP when we went around Christians Against Poverty in Bradford, it's a really friendly office and everybody's really happy. And that's great, but you don't know that unless you see that in person. And I walked around CAP and had that experience. I thought, absolutely true. Everyone's full of joy. And the people I'm meeting here, they're just bright-eyed and excited and happy. How do you find coming to work? Is it something you think, I've got to go to work again? Or do you wake up with a sense of, this is more than just a job?
Oh, definitely. Definitely is more than just a job. I mean, I love the people here. They're wonderful. I love the work as well, because particularly like in the work I did with street pastors, I just see so often churches can get really focused on what they're doing and making certain things happen. And I think, the great part of the Evangelical Alliance does is like saying to the church, like, look up and look out. The Great Commission is what we're here for. And actually churches can get a little bit focused in on like trying to keep things running and all that sort of stuff. And actually it's about that kind of look up, look out. It is possible. Things like the Finding Jesus report, it is possible to talk to people about Jesus and for them to want to follow Jesus. And it's that encouragement, that kind of, lifting up. But the people here help keep you going. When you have the tough days, like, the aforementioned cyber attack, it's the people here that, in the months that it took to try and repiece the data, that it's the people that kind of support you and encourage you and pray for you and keep you going. So from that point of view, it is a real blessing to work here with some great people. Cool.
I want to come back to you for the website in a moment. If Nathan, who's operating the buttons, can find something really short, hopefully we can chat to Stephen after that. But if people want to get in touch with you here at EA because they want to become a member, which is a really good idea, by the way, you should. How do people go about doing that?
So our website is www.eauk.org. So if you go to that, www.eauk.org, then you can find everything you want to know about the Evangelical Alliance. I mean, there's some great history on there. There's this time that I love, like I never knew before I got here that TIR Fund stands for the Evangelical Alliance Relief Fund. So that there's been some other amazing bits of history where different charities have, in part kind of spun up and spun off from the Evangelical Alliance. So, so there's great history on there, but also, you can find the Join Today button. And we would love everyone to sign up and join, for sure.
Cool. John, thank you. Hopefully Nathan's going to take us to a short piece of music. And if all things work as they should, I'll be chatting to Stephen in just a moment.